following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, January 4th, 2021, season 16, episode number 91. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're presented by Geico. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and we're talking Cowboys football. Cowboys lose their final game of the season to the New York Giants, 23-19, a game that they needed in order to keep themselves alive until Sunday night. We're going to talk about all the things that happened in that game and why Dallas ended up losing. Before we do, though, we got to talk a little bit about why it didn't matter at the end of the day, because as of last night, they would have needed the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Washington football team. That did not happen. And it did not happen for a bit of a, I don't know if it was a strange reason, but it certainly was a reason that I didn't really buy much. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Let's start first, I guess, real quick, before we get into the Cowboys game, with what happened last night. And what Philadelphia did. Obviously, into the fourth quarter, they had Jalen Hurts starting. There were a lot of their players that were out. Most of them, I assume, had legitimate injuries, either coming from the previous game or games before that. But they had Jalen Hurts playing. They get into the fourth quarter. It is a ball game. It's less than one score, and they decide to pull Hurts. Did you have a problem with that, just as an NFL fan and as a Cowboys observer? Nick?
Well, honestly, I didn't see the first half of the game. I got in about halftime. By the time I didn't really know all what was going on, but I definitely heard. And then I had a problem with that. I mean, I had a problem with how. I mean, we always say it just in life. You know, we use the joke about coaches. And you coach your team, I'll coach my team. Okay. Yeah. And here it is. I mean, here he's coaching his team, and he's doing it this way. But you know, you're trying to get a better draft pick. That's what it is. And then, you know, you got an assistant coach saying, well, this was a no-hat game. We're not having hats. Well, that's BS. You're passing it out, you know. So, you know, just I think you said it. Just don't insult our intelligence here by saying it's one thing when it's not. I mean, you were trying to lose. You wanted a better draft pick. It is what it is.
Yep. Dave, I know you got a different opinion on this. What's your thoughts?
I do, and I'm comfortable in the knowledge that, you know, maybe I'm a bad person or a petty sports fan, but hating your rivals is just as fun of a part of sports as loving your team, in my opinion. And I'm not going to go as far as to say I applaud what Philly did, but I don't have a problem with it. You know, they had nothing to gain by winning that game, and it seemed to me that they wanted to make as many of their rivals miserable as possible. So, you know, they pissed off the Giants and gave Washington the division. Got a better draft pick out of it. Probably not the coolest thing in the world, but I respect the pettiness of it all. It's what division rivalries are all about. And I promise you, I would feel the same way if they had done it to the Cowboys. Sorry. It is what it is. And, you know, first of all, don't put your fate in the hands of another team, and definitely don't put your fate in the hands of a team that hates your guts. And I think the Giants learned that last night. Yeah,
that's all true, and I agree with a lot of that. What I will say, though, is I think it's Bush League to say something different than what you're doing. If you're going to be petty, say you're going to be petty. Like, that's a part of the whole thing. Like, if you want to do this and say, hey, we're going to do this because the NFC East shouldn't be trying to win their championships off of us, then okay, say that. Say, I'm not going to hand you anything, New York Giants. Or if the Cowboys would have won, I'm not going to hand you anything, Dallas Cowboys. I'm okay with that if you're willing to say it. But don't then come to the press conference and say, no, we were really trying to win. We just decided at the end of the game that we were going to pull the guy that had scored both the scores that we had, and we're going to put in a guy who has not played all season to play quarterback and somehow win this game for us. Like, that to me is where I think it was Bush League. And I think if you're going to be petty, be petty. And own your pettiness, right?
I mean, I would have applauded it if Doug Peterson had gone to the podium and been like, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?"
Right.
But you know, he didn't. It's I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I'm not going to lose sleep about it.
Well, that's also the interesting thing. I wonder if the commissioner would have or still might do something about all this if he thinks that it's not in the good spirit of the game.
Yeah, I mean that's how you save yourself from. You say what he said and he pisses you off and all that, but you say that so you don't get fined.
Yeah.
Because if you come out, Mark Cuban, and admit that, then he's getting fined. It's embarrassment to the NFL. They're the ones that said, "Hey, we're going to put this game on there. This will be a good game."
Right.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the fourth quarter, Al Michaels is yelling at his producer like, "Is it Sudfeld or Sudfeld? Who is this guy?" You know.
And Chris Collinsworth went in on it too, like they all, and that was a part of kind of the whole thing. Do you have something, Dave?
I will say this. Yeah, I mean, everything y'all saying is valid. It's not a good look for the league. It's not really a good look for the Eagles, even though I don't care. But just the nature of the league and the way that this is all designed, I have a hard time getting too worked up about it because it's so hard to wind up in these situations. Actually, a lot of people have pointed out this happened 5 years ago. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were fighting for the number 1 overall pick the year they wound up drafting Jameis Winston. They were up 20-7 on the Saints in a meaningless Week 17 game, and they pulled Mike Evans, they pulled like 3 or 4 of their best players, and they gave up a 13-point lead in the second half to make sure they could draft number 1. Nobody remembers that, because this almost never has a chance to happen. It's an unfortunate set of circumstances where the league didn't have a great game to choose from in Week 17, which very rarely happens. And I just don't think this is a trend because it's hard to tank in the NFL because there's too much parity and single games mean too much. So I think it's a one-off. I bet we won't have to talk about something like this for another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I will say this. I'm not really worked up about it because at the end of the day, it wasn't the Cowboys. Cowboys they were already out of it. I will tell you this though: if that game would have been different, Cowboys versus Giants, I think I would have been a little bit more worked up by it because obviously that was what you were looking at, and you saw the Giants players; they were reacting to it on social media because again, they saw it as their opportunity. And the Eagles were in the game, and they just basically decided in the fourth quarter, we don't choose to win this game. And I think that's the part that rubs people wrong. Now, let's jump into the storylines of the Cowboys game. The Cowboys lose 23-19. Amber, first, you up first to tell me what's the big storyline that you take from this game? Obviously, the season's over, but was there a big storyline that you take from this game?
Well, the season is over, but this is when the real work starts. I mean, there's a lot of work to do right now, and there should be no days off. No one deserves a vacation. They should get right into work. Or actually, let me be a little bit nicer. Take a couple of days to let the horrible season really sink in and reflect on yourself and the bad things that you did or didn't do this year. But in reality, there's just so much work. Honestly, since the time I started working here, I've never felt like there's so much to be done in an off season as I feel right now. And the problem is that there is not an easy fix. There's not like, oh, we're just missing this piece. And I know there's a lot of hope when it comes to Dak Prescott, signing him and then getting some of these guys that were hurt in the O-line back healthy and all that. But we have to keep reality and be aware, like there's just so much more than just getting some of these guys back into the field healthy. There's just a lot of things to work on and fix. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a busy off season, and I hope they're able to hopefully figure it out this year so that we can finally have actually make a run for it.
All right, Nick.
I thought the offensive line just got their ass kicked, and that's really where the game was lost. Every time they tried to do anything, they took a step back in the game. They got sacked at the end of the game. They couldn't. I mean, the line just couldn't block, and that's it was just the strength, and that's when we see teams when you face a team that is their strength, like Washington, they couldn't even stay on the field with Washington, and then the Giants, they not this time around because they didn't even have Zach Martin as they did the first meeting. It was ugly. And everybody was getting killed. And I look at those 5 guys and I think, I don't know if any of these 5 should be a starter next year. So that's I don't agree with everything Amber says about how much work is to be done. I think this team's a lot closer to competing than people think. But that offensive line is not close, and that's got to get fixed, whether it be bringing the guys back and then getting better investment on when that things happen. You got to have better resources than what they had.
Dave.
I mean, I think Nick is absolutely right. It all stems from the offensive line, but because of that, it just kind of goes back to a theme from the season of like they didn't have an identity yesterday at all, and they haven't had one for most of the season, and mainly because of the Giants front. Andy Dalton didn't have time to throw. When he did have time to throw, he held on to the ball too long. None of your three great receivers had more than 50 yards receiving. Michael Gallup has another bad day after arguably his best day. So the passing game's not working for a variety of reasons. Zeke Elliott averaged 3 yards per carry. And, this wasn't like a situation where they had to throw their way back into the game. They pulled it within 4 points midway through the third quarter. And the running game still really wasn't part of what they were trying to do, probably because they couldn't get anywhere doing it. They averaged just over 4 yards per carry. Just at 4 yards per carry. The long run of the day was probably Andy's fourth down keeper, which was awesome, but that's not a sign that you're winning on the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So they couldn't do anything. They didn't have anything they could lean on. They didn't have anything they felt confident about, and that kind of describes the whole year.
Yeah, I think it was to me it was a microcosm of the season, and I think I agree with you, Nick. The biggest problem this team had all season, and I heard your radio call this morning. I was thinking the exact same thing. I've thought it for several weeks now. It was not the loss of Dak Prescott. It was the loss of your two tackles. Mm-hmm. I think that offensive line has held.
Later.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It has held this team back significantly because they just couldn't do the things that go to Dave's point that gave them their identity. Like what they were expecting to be able to be this year offensively, that all got killed when their offensive line, when they started the season with 3 guys that were starters last year not being there for most of the season, and then you lost the fourth, and so. I agree with you. I don't think there's a single guy on that offensive line by the end of this season that I necessarily think is a great option to start next year. I think, I do think Connor Williams has been a little bit better this year than I expected him to be, and a little bit better maybe than he was last year. I still don't know if it's good enough. Maybe it's good enough if you have all those other guys in place. But all that being said, I think this is just a microcosm of what's happened this season. This offensive line has not been good enough, and yesterday Dallas could not stop. They could not stop the New York Giants defensive front. They were just too good, and they were overpowering. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to get into some of the details of the game, some of the moments that mattered in this game, and where the game turned. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Want to show your Texas and team pride too? You can. By purchasing your own Stetson, you can look just like how the flag guys do on field at every home game. Stetson hats, the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys, and your favorite football team.
Get yours today at shop.dallascowboys.com or at stetson.com.
I'm Jay Novacek, former tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Back in the day, I was the guy who always got the tough yards, and that's why I run with John Deere today. In fact, I have a John Deere 3025E tractor that can handle any yard work I need to do, even the tough yards way out back. So if you have 1 acre or 1,000, John Deere has the equipment that's just right for you. Visit a John Deere dealer today and run with us. We are the official tractor provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
Get the ultimate fan experience for the ultimate Cowboys fan. Join DallasCowboys.com. Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, starting at just $20. You can join now on DallasCowboys.com/United. That's Dallas Cowboys United.
Welcome back to the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are presented by Geico. We're talking about the Cowboys' loss to the New York Giants to finish the season. They lose 23-19. Let's get into some of the moments that matter, some of the finer details of this game. Nick, let's start with you. What was your moment that mattered in this game?
Well, I'm not saying I actually disagree with the call, but I think it definitely mattered in hindsight that, you get late in the game like that and you're expecting to score a little bit more. It's 20-9. They score a touchdown. They decide to kick the extra point. At the time, I was fine with it. I'm fine with it now. It's 20-16. You're rolling. You're feeling better about things and how you're moving the ball, and you expect it, to not to try to chase points. And as it turns out, you only got one more field goal, and it's 20-19, and then it's 23-19, and you had a shot late in the game. You could have been kicking a field goal had you gone for two. I mean, I think that moment turned out to matter. Again, I don't disagree with the call, but if you would have told me you're only going to score 3 more points and they're only going to get 3 more points, then yeah, you definitely do it.
Yeah.
So that proved to matter, but that's just the style that McCarthy didn't want to try to chase a point if he didn't get it.
One of the things. Go ahead, Amber.
I was just gonna say, I don't have a problem with that, during the game or whatever. But what I have a problem with is the logic behind it. If we go back, I already forgot what game that was earlier in the year where we had why did McCarthy try to go for it? And then he explained, he's like, well, I'd rather know earlier on in the game. So it's like, okay, if that's your logic behind it all, then why not continue with that kind of same reasoning and do that now? That's my problem. It's like, okay, what are you really trying to do, or what's really your strategy behind it? Don't tell me you'd rather find out earlier on, and then in a game like this you don't go for that. And I get that every game is different and all that, but at the same time, I guess that's just the part that actually bothers me, that we heard that logic before and then now we don't get to see it, and then it's like, this is an important game, so why? And so I don't know, but
there's a lot of
at the end of the day, if you don't know.
Well, that game, I think, was the Falcons game, and there's 5 minutes to go, and in this case, there's 20 minutes, right, or 25 minutes to go in the game. So there's a lot more time.
But see, the way they were playing. The way they were playing.
I don't disagree,
not
really.
A lot of confidence.
Well, just know this: if you don't get it, you're down by 5. Okay. They score a touchdown, and that it comes down to your confidence in the defense. If the Giants go and score a touchdown, then you are definitely down by 2 scores. You're down by 2 touchdowns. You're down by 12. If you keep it at 4 and you somehow give up a touchdown, it's 11. You're still kind of in it. You're still, so that's kind of why it's too early to be chasing points. Just kick and see what happens. As it turned out, he should have done it. But I don't know if next year he's going to change his strategy on that. I don't know. Yeah,
Dave, I'll ask you. Do you think it was kind of interesting that all season, I think a consistent storyline has been how aggressive this coach has been in his play call. I mean, in all the things that they do, special teams, when they decide to go for it, they've been really aggressive, I think, way more aggressive than we've been used to seeing. But in this game, in this moment, he decides to opt for just taking the extra point. Does that stand out to you as something, and did you agree with the call?
I think it kind of goes back to the whole, not having an identity thing, because I would agree with you, overall they've been aggressive, but I don't know if there's consistency to it. I think AG makes a pretty good point that, it can swing wildly from one game to the next, where it's the numbers say we needed to go for 2, and then the next week we don't want to chase points. It doesn't seem like there is a just a strict philosophy that guides these decisions, and you know that they're going to be consistent from week to week. Me personally, I really didn't have a problem with it. I think it's the epitome of Monday morning quarterbacking, to be honest with you, because I mean, if you miss that try and all the Giants get is a field goal, now you're down 8. And now you're in a situation where probably in the fourth quarter, you're going to have to score a touchdown and go for 2 just to tie it because of a decision that you made. I don't like to second guess those types of calls unless they're just like egregious. So I will say it's weird that Mike McCarthy's not more consistent with his philosophy, in my opinion, but I didn't hate that decision very much at all.
And I agree with what you guys are saying of the inconsistency, but that's why I think that analytics can be useful, but you can't lean on it. And there's holes in analytics because you can't. There's just not a steady rule of this is how we do things. This is not Montel Jordan. You can't just say this is how we do it all the time, because when you got situations like this, well, this is how you do it when you have Tyron Smith and you have Zach Martin and you're on the 2-yard line and you feel like you can run it in. You have Dak and a good runner and all that, but 2 yards to this offensive line against that team, it seems like 20. So it's different. There's not just a chart for that has asterisks and says, well, what if your center sucks? Oh, yeah, it says here, don't go for 2 if your center sucks. I mean, I'm not saying Joe Looney. I'm just saying in general. So analytics sounds good, but you have to take it case by case, and that's why I think there's inconsistencies.
And I'm not sure, Dave, you might know more about this because you get into the analytics world a little bit more than I do, but I don't even know if the analytics chart said that they should have gone for it in that situation. I just think there are a lot of people who feel like, hey, you could have drawn within 3, and at the end of the game, 3 might have mattered, right?
But Amber's point is right. If you're going to sit up here and say, I need all the time I know to need what I want to know what I need to do, well, then go for 2 then. Yeah. And you know that you need a touchdown for sure.
Yep. All right, let's go on. Amber, let's get your moment that mattered.
To me, I mean, there were many things that led to this point, but it was that Dalton interception towards the end of the game. The Giants, they were 23-19. It was a 3rd and goal. I mean, it was like a minute and 20 seconds left or something like that in the game. And yes, he felt the pressure, but if you go back and look at the game and that play specifically, there was no need for him to just throw that ball towards the end zone just like that, so careless. And it's one of those things that you still had another chance where you could have made something happen. Just throw it away to the side or just hold on to the ball. But there was absolutely no need for a quarterback that is a veteran guy, that has the experience, many, many years, that knows the game, that understands and is aware. And yes, he was having a horrible game yesterday, but you can't, at that point, you cannot be making those kinds of decisions and mistakes. That was absolutely rookie mentality in my mind, and it should not have happened. And that obviously led to the Cowboys just completely losing that game when they actually had their final chance. That was their final chance to get some points on there, and they didn't because of that decision.
Yeah, I think that's a good I think you pointed out something really interesting there, Amber, because if you look at it, you immediately want to think Brandon Knight was the problem, which he was. He could not block Williams, and he couldn't block Williams all day. That was a problem for him. But you're right, like a veteran quarterback should have known in that situation, hey, live to fight another day here. Get rid of the ball, get the ball out, throw it to the sideline, do something. There's an opportunity here to at least get another play rather than just chunk up a prayer into the end zone. I know what he was doing. Dalton Schultz was back there. He kind of fluttered it out, so I don't know if the ball didn't have enough on it, and that was, I don't know what happened there. But you're right. That was probably just as much his fault as it was Brian Knight's fault. Dave, give us your moment that mattered.
I don't know this for sure, and I didn't get to talk to Andy because I was on the other telephone line with the other players when he talked. But for a veteran quarterback to make a decision like that in that situation almost makes me think he thought it was fourth down. Honestly,
yeah. Like it was the end of the game. That was his last play.
Yeah. I can't come up with a reason why a veteran quarterback would throw that ball otherwise. And that's that whole sequence to me. It's all about that. And we can talk about the challenge controversy, the Dante Pettis catch. I'm sure we will. But like for me, It was their best drive of the day, 17 plays, 4 minutes. It's their longest drive of the day in terms of plays and time. You got the Andy keeper on 4th down. You do all this great stuff to get in position to win the game. 1:53 to play. Giants have 1 timeout left. You're on the 7-yard line. And, that just might be the worst 3-play sequence I've seen in a long time. You can blame Terrence Steele and Brandon Knight. Andy Dalton gets sacked on 1st down. Why on earth are you empty?
Yeah, that's
why. Why are you not even going to give the impression that Zeke might touch the ball? Again, it's 1st down. Giants have 1 timeout, so not only are you in position to score, but you have a chance to force them to burn timeouts and burn clock. If you do your job very well, you can take the lead and give the ball back to the Giants with 1 minute to play and no timeouts. It's a very good situation to be in. You go empty, so nobody's even buying that you're going to run the ball with your $90 million running back. You get sacked because your offensive line has been getting its ass whipped all day.
But let's real quick, Dave. They didn't even get whipped on that play. They literally just decided we're not going to touch Williams.
No, I know.
He just ran right by him and nobody touched him. Yeah.
It was a protection breakdown.
Yeah.
I get that, and I mean. That maybe the play works if that doesn't happen. But again, why are you empty? Why don't you even want somebody to think that you might run the ball? And then, CD with just probably his worst drop of the season, given the circumstances. And then we already talked about what happened on 3rd down. I mean, it was just a total meltdown. If they even just charge into the line twice and don't gain yards, you're still burning a timeout, you're still burning clock, and then you got 2 plays to make it happen. I'm not saying it would have, but just what a colossal failure, and it cost them the game, obviously.
Let me ask you guys this question, and I know this may sound like an overreaction, so feel free to say it is an overreaction. But are you at all concerned about moments when CeeDee Lamb has had drops this season? Because this isn't the first time when he's had opportunities and just couldn't make the catch, couldn't bring it down. And in some instances, they weren't tough catches. It seemed almost like he just kind of had a lapse in concentration. Are you at all concerned about that, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think you expect things. You expect rookies to make, to have some inconsistent moments. And so he had some. This is not a cold weather team. I mean... At all.
I don't know if they're a warm weather team either. They're just not that good. I mean, we know they're not that good this year.
No, but they seem to make more plays. The passing game really struggles.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to that first Washington game. You need to be able to be a tough, grind it out, we're better than you, tougher than you team. And it doesn't matter what the weather's like. You could run the football and do all those things. And they obviously can't do that, not in this shape. But, I mean, I think it's a little concerning. That drop was I agree with Dave. It's the worst one. Yeah. I don't call a dropped Hail Mary really a problem. The Washington game was in the end zone. That was a big play. But this one, I mean, we're talking 5-yard line, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be able to break a tackle and get in.
You would
right?
expect he was going to make it interesting. He was definitely going to make it interesting. He'd be down there close enough to where you could actually maybe decide to run it on 2nd down. Who knows?
He's a really good wide receiver. He had a really good year. Had one of the best years ever as a rookie in Cowboys history. He's a good player. If it wasn't for this unbelievable draft class, we would be talking about him a little bit higher. The receivers this year were really, really good, and he's one of them.
Yeah. Amber, you at all concerned?
No, not really. I mean, mainly because he has given us a lot of great moments. And to me, those outweigh these bad drops. Obviously, things that need to be addressed and he needs to work on. But again, just like Nick mentioned, you got to remember he's still a rookie. And those are things that, even though it seemed like he should have caught that, it can happen. It can happen to veteran guys as well. So I like to believe that he's going to get a lot better next year and become a lot better. And based on the things we've seen from him, he definitely has the capability and the ability to get there. So I'm not really worried right now.
Dave.
74 catches for 935 yards. The catch in Minnesota, the touchdown catch, many times has gone over the middle and made great catches while getting blasted. No, I mean he's had some mental lapses. I mean, and I'm not just completely writing it off. This has happened across 4 or 5 games. he's got some improving to do. But no, I mean, I'm thrilled about CD's upside, and he's I still have not met him. I don't know when I will, but from the outside, he strikes me. Yeah, for sure. Well, he strikes me as the type of guy that's going to internalize this and use it as fuel to get better in the offseason. He just seems like that type of guy.
I agree with that. He is that type of guy. I've met him a few times. This stuff matters to him.
Yeah.
But this talking about him being a rookie, he's not a rookie anymore. After the game, PR staff comes over, is like, hey, you want to go over and talk to Nick? He's like, nah, I'm good. I'll catch you later, man. I'm good. I'll catch you later on in the season.
He's no longer a rookie.
That's not a rookie anymore.
Yeah, all that coming in saying yes sir, no sir, like that.
Right.
That's gone. He's
been hanging out with Tank.
He is a vet now. He turned out an interview.
Which D-Law did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get you later.
I don't think many guys necessarily wanted to talk after that. I wouldn't think it was. Some did.
Yellow coat.
Well, we're going to get to that. There was one guy I know that did talk, and actually we got a quote we want to talk about from him. But before we do that, we're going to take our final break. When we come back, we got to talk about Mike McCarthy and the one coaching decision that a lot of people are pointing to as the most important moment of that game. And it was a decision he decided not to actually look at. We'll do that. Talk about that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay. Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Dear, it's 1908. Don't you think we should get electricity?
And stop using candles to see at night.
It's just electricity lights up the room fast. It's more reliable than candles blowing out, and people seem to love it nationwide.
Well, candles are...
Dear, did you just run into the wall?
Nope. May I have a new candle, please?
Historically, switching to new technology is a no-brainer. Today, it's AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure, and nationwide. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
Let's see. Hold on. Playoff tickets, pro shops. Oh, sorry. We got a few reads here. Some what if reads. These aren't it. How about just find
what
out?
ifs didn't work out.
Yeah. This one doesn't apply. Find out why this year's Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders making the team is the most competitive yet. Don't miss the new episode of season 15 every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Central on CMT. That is DCC making the team. Now that's consistency. 15 years in a row.
There we go. All right. Final segment of the break. Live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're presented by Geico. There was one other moment that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Yesterday, late in the game, Cowboys are down 1 point. It's 2019 in the fourth quarter. New York had driven from their 20 and gotten all the way to the Dallas 32. Donovan Wilson gets a sack that moves them back to the Dallas 42. So they got him out of field goal range. Then on 3rd and 16 at the Dallas 42, they complete a pass to Pettis for 10 yards that gets them back to the Dallas 32 and into field goal range. There was a question, though. Was that a catch or was it not a catch? Regardless of how you feel about whether it was a catch, and I want to hear from you guys on whether you think it was a catch. Do you think it was the right decision by Mike McCarthy not to at least challenge it and force the referees to take a second look? Let's start first with you, Amber.
Okay, putting aside the NFL's inconsistency in what's defined a catch and all this that has been talked about for years, putting that aside and looking at the play, I guess I'm not as upset as many people are as far as the decision, because after watching the result of it, in my eyes, it was a catch. And to me, therefore, I'm not as upset as to Mike McCarthy not challenging that play or not. But if you want to look at it, you get, 2 challenges a game?
Yep.
So why not do it? I mean, in a game that's as important, if there is a slight uncertainty with something like that, just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead. I mean, you got to give it your all in this game, because that's it. That's all you have. So if you're looking at it that way, I would have said, yeah, go ahead and throw it. And I know it's easier said than done, because we watch it from afar, and when you're down there, I'm sure it's a lot harder for you to really see exactly what happened or have a better clue. But even before the replay, I thought it was a catch in my eyes. So I can see why Mike McCarthy made the decision as to not throw the flag and challenge it.
Dave.
Having had almost 24 hours to think about it, I will say they had all 3 of their timeouts. Yeah, sure. Take a look at it if you want to, but I'm not going to kill Mike McCarthy for it, and I pissed everybody off yesterday because it was a catch. I think it was. I don't see what the furor is about. Pettis had both of his hands underneath it. Part of the ball hit the ground, but did not move at all. It looked firmly secured. And it was ruled a catch on the field, which we all know, and don't bring up the Dez thing because they've changed the rules significantly since then. If it's ruled a catch on the field, you got to see crazy evidence to the contrary to overturn it. So the odds that would have happened, in my opinion, are very slim. And then the irony is that it didn't work out this way. But this happened with 6.5 minutes to play in the game. A game that featured 11 punts. Nobody was sustaining drives in this game at all. So it stands to reason the Cowboys might have had to give the Giants the ball back before they could have an opportunity to win the game in these circumstances, and you want as many timeouts as possible if that's the case. So with all of that in mind, I don't blame Mike McCarthy for not doing it, and that upsets some people, and I don't care because I think it was a catch.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I think he should have challenged. You're down. He keeps him out of field goal range. You should challenge. You're also down, and 6 minutes to go is too early to be calling timeouts, but I mean, if you call a timeout, if you burn the challenge and you don't get it, and at least you also stopping the clock. I mean, you are down, and you're about to be down, even more. So you might as well. I mean, I just think that you should have. I'm not killing him for it because, again, I agree. I don't know if it would have been overturned, but this is all hindsight. It's just like that's what's so tough about coaching. I don't think they should have gone for 2, but now it's like, well, they probably should have. Yeah, he probably should have challenged it. Just based off
the benefit of retrospect,
of what you know.
Yeah.
But what happens if the Cowboys actually stop them? Let's say that they after the interception, they don't give up a long run. They stop them. They use all 3 of their timeouts. They get the ball back. They do. We would come back and go, man, if he would have challenged that and lost the timeout, the game would have been over. So it's just the way that's what armchair quarterbacks do.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is I know for a fact that Aikman and Buck were saying that they thought it was not a catch. And I want to say, and I don't know this for a fact, Dave and Amber, you guys were there with me. Do you recall whether they had their former referee expert come on, and did he say the same thing? Because
Pereira came on and said that he thought it wasn't a catch.
Right, and that's the reason why I think they should have at least challenged it, because if you have another person who is well aware of the rules, understands what referees are looking for when they're making calls, if he has doubt and he says, hey, I don't think this is a catch, then that tells me there's at least a good chance that the guy who would be under the hood reviewing it might come to the same conclusion. And at that point in the game, with everything you got at risk there, either giving 3 points or giving no points, I think it was worth a shot, and that's where I think it's probably a better idea for him. And I think you kind of use your challenges. I think the coach, it's part of the reason why I don't like the challenge system, challenges in the NFL and getting it right have become a part of strategy. It shouldn't be a part of strategy. It should be about just getting it right. But if it's going to be strategy, and I think then the coaches have to think about it from a strategic standpoint. If you're in a situation where overturning a call can make a huge impact in the game, and there's at least even a small chance that you can get something out of it that's huge, the risk is worth the reward in my opinion there. And so that's where I think in that instance, I think Mike McCarthy made the wrong decision. Now, there's a lot of questions about how he came to it. Was he able to see it in stadium? Who knows? Were the people that were in the press box who would normally give him that information, were they able to see it? What was their assessment? Like, there's a lot of questions that we really don't know. But all things being considered, based on what we know right now, I think he made an ill-informed decision. I think he should have at least tested it and made them rule that what they called on the field was correct.
We don't know what was in his ear. And,
right.
I mean, NFL teams, in the stadium, you don't have to show a replay right then. You do when they get in the hood,
right,
but not right then.
And you can take your time for showing it.
Yeah, If it was on our guy,
they're not going to see it until they force you to see it. Yeah.
But if it was the other way around, well, he'll see it 16 times. Slow mo. That's what they do. And but I don't put it on McCarthy. I put it on whoever was in his ear.
Yeah.
This is so freaking annoying because the NFL, they need to come out with like a very instructional video where they show every possible catch and say, catch, no catch. Because there's no reason why there should be such a debate where you have some people right now saying, oh, that wasn't a catch, some people that say that it was a catch. When you got some footage that clearly shows what happened there, because we know that there are some plays that you can hardly see where the ball landed and there's some confusion there. But when you look at the footage, it's very clear as to what happened. So my problem is, why is there such a confusion when what you're able to see is so clear? Why is there people just debating on whether or not it was a catch?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know that.
To me,
go ahead, Amber.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't know that it was clear. I think it was clear for us to see. I don't know if it was clear in what happened. What I mean by that is, like Dave said, he thought he had his hands on the ball, and when the ball hit the ground, it didn't move at all. When I saw it, I thought the ball did move a little bit. I don't think he lost control of it. Well, and so that's the part where it becomes gray. Even though we all see it and we all see the exact same thing, I think the interpretation of it can be very gray at times.
Well, take it out then. I mean, the NFL should take it out. I mean, the ball hits the ground, it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Make it. I mean, that's unfair because I agree.
But that would make it real clear.
It would make it clear. If the ball hits the ground, it's an incomplete pass. So tell your quarterback to throw it up.
Right. Or tell your guy that he's got to keep it from hitting the ground.
Yeah. That would be one way.
That's how you wind up. That's how you wind up not having Dez catch it at the goal line. Just if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Well, he didn't catch it.
Literally. I mean, that's. Well,
I mean,
but everybody agrees that was the wrong call.
It was the wrong call. I mean, but see, in that issue goes back to a play earlier in the game that I don't even know if that was a catch. I mean, I don't even know if it was a drop pass as much as it was a fumble.
Yeah.
Because the Dez thing, he caught it, he turned it, he moved it to the left hand, he cupped it, he dove, he extended. I mean, catching the ball was so yesterday's news for Dez. He was already thinking moving on, and that's what was unfortunate. Same with the touchdown that the Giants guy had.
Yeah.
I mean, he caught it, he was diving, he was down. It was very similar to the Dez thing, but they got it right because they got it wrong 6 years ago.
Do you guys think that would have? I obviously, Dave and Amber, I think you guys agree that the right call was made. Nick, did you think that was the right call?
Yeah.
You thought it was a catch?
I do. At the time, I didn't even know we were even. I'll tell you this. I didn't bother to turn around and I have to go and find a new replay. I didn't even bother to look for that. It looked like a catch to me the whole time. I was a little surprised afterwards, like, oh, did he not? So I don't know if it would have been overturned, but
if Amari Cooper makes that catch, everybody's like, yeah, he caught that. Like Cowboy fans are only mad about this because it was a Giants player that caught it.
Yeah, which is how it goes most of the time, right? You give if it's your team, you give a little bit more deference. If it's not your team, you're like, that ball moved, So that happens. That definitely happens.
So what happens is then let's say it's incomplete. They punt it to the 8-9 yard line. Now you just need a field goal, and you have a kicker that's really kicking the ball well.
Unless you went for two the last time.
Unless you had gone for two, right?
then you could be winning.
Well, but then don't forget Giants missed an extra point too. So I mean, it all kind of shakes out here.
Which at the end of the day is kind of the point of all of this. Like we're making a lot of these little small moments, but at the end of the day, you just weren't good enough. Like you just weren't good enough to win the game.
Okay, this is about the time we're supposed to end the show. If the Cowboys had won the game, this would have been the time we would have been starting to talk about the game because you would have gone all anti-Philly for the first 20 minutes or
and
so.
You know how I feel about Philly anyway.
Right.
Just the city, the whole thing.
Don't forget this. If the Cowboys had won, Jalen Hurts wouldn't have probably played at all. I mean,
which I would have been more okay with.
Or they would have pulled the plug on this thing way before. Like, we're not,
Dude, I actually would have been okay if they went into this game and said, hey, we're going to start Sudfeld. We're just going to sit Jalen. We don't think we don't want to play him. We're going to give Sudfeld all the reps this week. We're going to get him ready to play, and we're going to go out and give our best effort. I would have been more okay with that than playing Jalen Hurts up until the fourth quarter, and you're in the game, and then saying, nah, we're going to go ahead and put somebody else in. Like, that's the part that I think is just not good for the game.
Has never met Herm Edwards, ever. They don't even know who each other are.
Yesterday was such an insane range of emotions because when you wake up, you're like, all right, Cowboys got to win, got to root for Washington to lose, got to make the playoffs, let's go. Cowboys lose, that sucks. I guess we actually want Washington to win because that helps our draft stock. Right. And then by the end of the night, you're like, oh, thank God the Cowboys lost because it would be a nightmare if we were faced with this situation had an Eagles win gotten the Cowboys into the playoffs. Like, honestly, I don't know if I could handle that news cycle. That would have been rough. So not an unfortunate day, but I guess it worked out.
And where do the Cowboys pick if they would have won?
Well, the Giants are picking one spot behind them, right?
So pick 11.
Giants are 11? Yeah.
So we picked 10.
Well, so if Washington had lost, I think they would pick 10 and the Cowboys would pick 11. Yeah, and the Giants would have jumped up to 19.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't know. I think it all ended as it should because I know I would have broken my TV if that would have happened after the Cowboys won. I would have had some feelings about that. But anyway, it worked out, and we move on to the offseason, and Dave gets to talk to us about the draft for the next 4 months. All right, so we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back. Actually, we're starting our offseason schedule, so we're going to be on Wednesdays. The Cowboys break will be on every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So make sure you check us out this Wednesday and every Wednesday after this. Check out the website for a full schedule of all the shows. We'll have a show every day. One of our podcasts will go every day. Again, the break will be on Wednesdays. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com. Radio.
Sorry. This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?